So I'm Mark Waters with Startup Canada, and I'm here with Laurie Kennedy in advance of the Sydney Town Hall. And I first just wanted to ask you, Laurie, why are you passionate about entrepreneurship? Why did you choose to become an entrepreneur?
I don't really think I choose to become an entrepreneur. I come from a large family. There were 12 of us. And her daddy was a service station attendant, and her mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we didn't have any money. And so we had to come up with, business schemes to help out. And I think that is where my entrepreneurship was kindled. And so I carried it with me. And then I was foreman at Sea Plant Work of Forest. And we were thrown out of work because of the collapse of the Northern Cod. So there again, we had to come up with a scheme to provide now for my own children. So it just continued on. I took with me what I had in my childhood in terms of networking, come up with ideas and ways to make money to provide. And it just came with me, and I'm a natural entrepreneur, I guess, because of my childhood and circumstances at the time.
And that's amazing. And so one of the things that I guess, which is right on that issue then is, so from your perspective, entrepreneurship started out as like a way to get over some of the losses in jobs and things like that, but now it's a way of life. And would you say that it then represents like a strong career path for any young individual who's looking to find meaningful work in future?
Well, I think the young people of today, I think there has to be an educational component, probably still in junior high, with an entrepreneurship scheme for an educational component. And it should be carried in through high school and then university, and we could provide perhaps a junior mentorship with the program. And then, perhaps identify, certain business components within the industry that would help our company, of course. And then perhaps, offset, help contribute, the tuition, and perhaps have them commit to 4 to 5 years with our company. And also, networking with colleges, local, community colleges, and networking with government and community and industry to bring balance.
Absolutely. Would you be interested then in becoming an entrepreneur, or do you already, in becoming a mentor? And do you do actually any mentorship right now?
Well, yes, we do mentorship. We actually pull students from CBU, of course, and we mentor and spend time with them. But it gets to the point where they become really good at their jobs, and they have inherent knowledge now and experience. And then we lose them sometimes to government. So we can't compete with the government wages, of course, the private sector. So that's a thing that we have to work with government. Perhaps, they could help top up a wage so we can be competitive with them, opposed to losing our senior staff to government. That's a difficult thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard earlier today as well that this issue of the retention of talent can be a real challenge for businesses in the local area. So one of the other questions I'd like to ask you, you have a company that employs around 500 people. So you're right on the border between then kind of the medium enterprise to the larger enterprise. But you've been with that company all the way through that growth. Were there any really kind of major hurdles that your organization faced to get from, kind of 50, 100 upwards to more people that you think a lot of firms are going to be facing?
Well, it took us almost 30 years. We started out with a workforce of 10, and then we proceeded into, buying, a plant, and we're been in the fishery all our lives, so we sort of had this knowledge of how it would unfold. And it just takes a long time to build it. You spend your whole life building your company, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to keep it. And then there's global factors, there's economies, there's media. For instance, there are young people. When there's always talk of closure of schools and churches and cutbacks in the hospitals and government cutbacks, and they're hearing this and being bombarded with this, and they become confused. So do I. Where do we go from here? So I think the mentorship program within our communities would show them that they're the jobs that are actually here, and how they could build from their own ideas, rather they want to become scientists, food technology, ecosystem management people. There are entrepreneurial components there that would help us. But if they don't know it's there, it's all about communication and showing them and helping them and educating them to exactly what it is that we do have to offer.
Absolutely, and that's a huge issue that's coming up, is how do we get people aware of the services that exist to support them, which are often excellent, but are often invisible in many cases. So one of the next questions I'd like to ask you is, so you're on that cusp of about 500 people. Do you want to become a 1,000-person firm, a 1,500-person firm? I mean, how big do you want to go in terms of what's your vision for your company's future?
Well, I mean, we want to grow, but the global, factors, illegal harvesting, ocean health, we're very worried about that. I mean, there's 1 billion people that depend on the ocean for a living, but yet it is estimated that there's approximately 45,000 pieces of floating plastic within every square mile of ocean. So it affects the industry, it affects the population, and then there's the currencies and the global financial weaknesses that affect us. So sometimes you have to go back and try to address those and work with the global community, see what it is that we can do. Is there going to be a sustainable future? So sometimes we remain dormant trying to address external issues that we don't have control over.
I mean, that's incredible. Do you think a lot of businesses try to do that, or do enough businesses do that, look at their role in the world more so than just the product and service they're selling?
Well, I think what it boils down to is you have to work with community, industry, and government to address these issues. For instance, for us, our dollar is way too high. It should be 85 cents, hopefully. So, because we're an export market. For someone who buys supplies, for instance, in the U.S., it would be good for them. So we have to strike a balance of different industries and what exactly is it that our problems are and how it can be offset. Global, interest rates in the global economies and, currencies are out of our control, really. So we have to scramble sometimes because it hits our bottom line.
Absolutely. And so the last question I'd like to ask you then, if you could leave a message to young entrepreneurs who are interested in getting involved in entrepreneurship to inspire them, what would that message be?
Well, I think that there should be, business within the community and the school system to identify and perhaps, have a junior work term with our company, even if it's 1 day a week, to show them what we have to offer. Because the fishing industry isn't just about vessels and oil gear. There's science, there's ecosystem management, there's accounting, there's marketing. There's all sorts of positions that they can access into our company, or they can start out on their own and act as a consulting with us and work through the universities as well.
Amazing. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for young people. They just got to find out about them, and you're available to connect anytime. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Lori, for taking the time to meet with us. That was wonderful.